Welcome to the Innovation Office, a web show brought to you by AmSham to open the doors to the best innovation offices across the country. Here, we dive into how different leaders think, build, and deliver innovation in their companies and teams, so other organizations and leaders can learn from their experiences. I'm Lara.
And I'm Marco. You may have realized that we're not speaking Portuguese, and you are absolutely right. Today's episode will be in English, as we have a great guest with us. Today's guest is Marc Custodio, innovation leader at Critical Software, a Portuguese technology company founded in 1998 in Coimbra, Portugal, now operating globally with offices in Portugal, in the UK, Germany, and in the US, and specialized in reliability, mission-critical software, and system engineering, particularly in the sectors of aerospace, defense, transportation, energy, automotive, and finance. Marc has an amazing background in innovation, having been working in the Deloitte Catalyst team before joining Critical. With innovation at its core, Marc Custodio plays a critical role in Critical Software. Marc is a Bachelor in Finance and Computer Informatics Systems from Bentley University and an MBA with the Lisbon MBA from Católica, Nova, and MIT. Thank you so much, Marc, for joining us today, and welcome to this humble office.
Thank you for having me. Very excited to be here. Happy to get into the conversation.
Great.
Great.
Okay, great. Marc, let us start by asking you, what does it mean to be an innovation leader at Critical Software?
Yeah, so it's a bit of a complicated question. I think it's a role that has many hats. I like to think about it in three pillars. So first pillar would be our internal culture of innovation. So my first and kind of foundational objective is to really build this culture within Critical of experimentation, of thought leadership, of trying to push the boundaries of what we can do. So that involves events, initiatives, making sure that our team members have the right training, the support, everything we need to foster a culture of innovation. Mm-hmm. My second pillar is our research and development kind of investment portfolio, I'd call it. So I'm almost like an investor in some sense who has to make sure that we're placing our bets in the right areas for R&D proposals, and we're activating R&Ds in the right ways. Mm-hmm. So we have teams that can deliver the R&Ds who are usually customer facing, but our research and development process allows us to actually fund those teams to work on innovations internally. So I'm kind of an investment manager, venture capitalist internally to make sure that we're making those bets in the right places. So that's the second bucket. The third one is kind of thought leadership and ecosystem enablement. So playing roles in conversations like this one, making sure that we're doing the right things to spread the word about the incredible work that we're doing at Critical, but also managing an ecosystem of academic, corporate, startup, government, venture capital partners who can help us multiply all of the impacts that we're having from the R&D process. So those are the three pillars that I try to work in as the innovation leader. It's not an easy scope, but I think it's really nice that we kind of structured it this way and we set it up.
And cover it all together.
Yeah, it's very interesting. It's, like you said, it's different hats, but if you think about it, they collaborate, right? They work together to a common goal. And maybe one of those hats has to do a lot with the innovation catalyst that you have as a title and is a part of the contribution in the team. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, the title. So I think the title itself, we drew inspiration from our ecosystem partner or kind of Critical Tech Works, so the joint venture that spun out with BMW. They have some very interesting titles that they use. So I think their CFO is called the Lord of the Ledgers, for example. So our CEO, I think, João Correia, took some inspiration from them and chose the name Innovation Catalyst for the role because it's more unique. It's not just head of innovation or something like this. But I think it actually, the more I work in the role, the more I see that word really embodies exactly what the role does, because in those three pillars, right, I'm an enabler, I'm an evangelizer, and I'm an investor. And a catalyst is somebody who really activates that energy around those three spaces. So that's what a catalyst is trying to do. So I think the name really fits the role. And then I'm the catalyst, and also we have three divisions that we work in, and within each division we have an innovation hero, which is so that's the role title there as well. So they are truly superheroes, I think.
Yeah.
I love this, especially because it's empowering. It's we're probably going to talk about culture about that, but it's empowering when names give real sense to what your contribution and your impact is. Love that. It's great story.
And then what kind of skills or mindsets those heroes, innovation heroes, have to have?
Yeah, so skills, mindsets, personalities, I try to combine all of these things, right? So from a skill perspective, I really like the heroes to have some engineering technical background within the divisions that they're in.
Right.
Because they're industry aligned and they're capability aligned. So their objective is to bring those things that the customers are seeing to life. So they need that real experience. But from a mindset perspective, I think scrappiness is really the most important thing that I love to see, which I define as kind of my team members being willing and able to do whatever it takes to move the action or the activity to the next step. So if that means emailing the CEO of a company, do it today. If that means legally pretending that you're a different brand and going to the market and testing a product as if you're a brand without associating the name of critical software to it, we might have to do that as well, just to test whether a product has fit without our biases. So that scrappiness, doing whatever it takes to move the ball forward, I think is a very, very key mindset that I love to have. And even more important than all of this, I think, is a human-centered focus, a human-centered mindset. So empathy. A lot of times, true innovation starts with understanding the problem and who is experiencing the problem and how are they experiencing it and what is the real triggers that they have. And if we can solve that for them, everything else will work itself out. So starting with the human and empathy, being scrappy, but also having this technical and business skill set is what I look for.
I may steal this scrappiness part. I love it.
Yeah, I've never heard it, but I like it too. And it's amazing how these skills are more and more important, right? It's become so common ground for all the companies. It's so important.
It's not just innovation, but I think it's like you said, it's critical in the innovation part. If you don't have this human-centric, we were having this conversation a couple of months ago exactly about that. Sometimes we try to innovate because we're engineers, and there's a cool part of the innovation and the problem and the solving, but does it really solve a problem? Did you talk about it with anyone? Right?
That is exactly. So I think I'm very fortunate and lucky that I bring this business background, but I've always combined business and technology. I was obsessed with technology as a kid. I was obsessed with technology through my professional experience. So my fit is trying to find my way between the business and tech backgrounds. Yeah. And I have this kind of business finance background. So my focus is also on the humans, but also on the why. And I think engineers, the natural inclination is just to do cool stuff. I want to build something cool. I want to be on the front edge. I want to, but sometimes we have to step back and say, okay, we can do cool stuff, but why are we doing the cool stuff? Let's prioritize the right ways and focus on return on investment and return on impact. So what is the impact we're creating?
And this goes to I think a great point for us to discuss is Critical has a lot of industries and betting on a lot of different types of solutions. So how do you prioritize? What is the framework? Or not a framework, because I don't like the word, but how do you guys prioritize these opportunities in industries, or even across all of the industries?
Yeah, so we have a process. I mean, we can call it a framework, call it a methodology, whatever you want to call it is fine. But it is a structured process to some degree, depending on the purpose and the context of what we need to do. So we have a good process to allow us to de-risk and prioritize the investments we make before we allocate significant money into it. And we're lucky because we have the division teams who are working with real customers on real problems all the times in a services capacity. And they can bring those problems back to us and say, hey, I'm working on this interesting technology for this very specific client, but I think that we can use this technology for 10 other clients in this completely different industry. So we can bring that innovation across industries, across companies, across services in unique ways. And then we could bring the expertise of the team members who are actually doing that work to help us prioritize and say, hey, I think quantum encryption, is going to be a huge problem in 5 years. We need to protect critical systems from potential quantum computing attacks, something that I personally wouldn't have thought about.
Yeah.
But we have a team that was working on encryption models, and this came up, and they surface it, and then we put some structure around the R&D proposal itself. So again, a real focus on the business case, on the desirability, the feasibility, and the viability of it. And once we have that in place, usually hopefully 3 to 4 weeks of assessment and evaluation, we then prioritize and we fund the R&D.
Okay, interesting. And when so these are mostly for the ideas, right? And how you fund them. But can we say that you also value the entrepreneurship spirit at Critical? And how do you do that?
We definitely value it. It is on my strategy for next year to bring more of that out. That goes to that culture side, right? So I want to see more intrapreneurship and entrepreneurship out of our team members. It's not an easy thing because, again, we're a services company. So the top priority of most of the team members who actually are the ones who will end up executing the R&Ds and having the ideas, their top priority is to be billable for a customer. So they're constantly trying to balance, I have my targets, I need to be billed to a customer to make our core business work, but I also need to be able to allocate time towards creativity, towards coming up with something new and being an entrepreneur. So we have a program called Imagine, which was done on a rolling basis, allowed people to submit ideas for potential businesses that they would like to found, or even just potential service lines or something smaller. So we collect these applications on a rolling basis, and then every 6 months we have a panel come together and help kind of provide funding and support for the team members that are selected as having won the Imagine Challenge. So that's something we've done in the past. In the future, we're looking to build maybe a builders program or expand on this more. And I think Critical Software is a very unique place because it actually is probably the best place to be an entrepreneur, which I know sound biased here, but coming from Deloitte, I think this is a much better place because I have seen real examples within Critical. We have a system that was actually sold years ago where it started in the company as an R&D idea. It was invested in, it was productized, a team member worked on it, and then that became a spin-off, and now it becomes its own business. It gets sold to another company, and it's its own structure. And that person who had the original idea can follow that idea all the way through the point of a spin-off or through the sale, and they can become a founder with support through Critical Software. That you can't really find that in other companies, I think.
I think that's also a very cool story because you guys are a product company as well. So you build products. It's not just a consultancy. You build stuff as well. So that DNA in plus innovation creates this unique.
That's a very testy. That is a very testy subject. So if you said that to most people at Critical, probably 70 or 80% of them would say we are not a products company. We don't sell products.
I understand that.
But you're right. I mean, in reality, that there are product opportunities all the time, and there are services that we're providing for 5 or 6 customers that are sharing the same underlying architecture that could be seen as products, but need the investment of a product, need a product roadmap, need a product owner, need a product manager, and we don't really do that so much today, but that is another thing that we're starting to get into.
Nice.
We have some assets that we do. We have Oversea for the Portuguese Navy, which we also provide for the Irish Coast Guard and other navies and coast guards around the world that share the similar architecture. That is an example of almost a product. You could think of it as a product, but that was done organically through services.
Right.
So
very cool. And like I said, I think there's it goes to a point where I would like to hear your insights on this is how to scale, right? So you're exactly touching that point. One thing is to build innovation to solve one person's problem. Another thing is to build something that will cross maybe industries or even inside industries, cross countries. You're a global company. The problems in Portugal are interesting, but you need to scale those innovations, right? So how do you do that? What's the secret there?
Yeah. So one of my first changes that I made actually was just a very simple formula because I think it registers well with engineers, which is innovation equals invention times commercialization. So in the past, Critical Software was very much focused on invention. So coming up with research projects in a silo that are very deep tech, very interesting things, and then they would sit on a shelf and go nowhere. Right. So you have to be able to commercialize these different innovations that we're making, and to scale them internationally, to grow them to the way that they need to grow. That requires having great partners in place that can work in international context and have this shared mission and shared DNA of innovation and of safety critical innovation as well. So companies like Saab, for example, is a great partner that we have in Sweden who can actually help us commercialize a lot of the inventions that we have in unique ways. Stadler is another one. Airbus is another one. These are great companies. We now have the joint venture with Airbus. That stemmed from this shared value and this shared desire to build something in a safety critical way and innovate in this very unique space. And I think once we find international partners who have this ability to scale things, that's how we do it. We work through collaboration and cooperation with them, because it's very difficult, like you said, to do that just here in Portugal. We need international support and international partnerships. And to build on that, I would love to see more cooperation, more partnerships with companies here in Portugal working together. We have some incredible companies that are growing very, very quickly that could work together in unique ways to multiply the impact that we're having on the global stage. So I really hope to see that.
Interesting.
Yeah. You touched a very critical point, in my opinion, is the fact that we need more collaboration to innovate, because it's not a one person show, because it can't go as far.
Even in critical, it's not,
Exactly.
we have a team of 4 people, right? So an innovation specifically, and we're growing, and our AI team is much bigger as well. But so we're combined, we're large, but in the context of the company, we're small.
Yeah.
So at a 1,500 person company, a group of 15 to 20 people, we need the rest of the company to help us innovate. So even just in the context of critical, we need to cooperate. And then beyond in this bigger ecosystem, we all need to cooperate as well. And you're going to see multiplication of success and innovation when we're working together in a meaningful way.
1 + 1 equals 11, right? It's
Exactly.
what
We
you
hope
need
so.
to do. Yeah, exactly.
And speaking about collaboration, what about internally? I know about this program, the FICA Lab. Can you tell us a little bit more about that and how it relates to your DNA and Critical's DNA? And
the FICA Lab is it was I believe the thought child of the leadership team 5 or 7 years ago or so. So it's been around for a long time within Critical, and it's a space where, so we are again a very heavy software engineering company, and the idea of the FICA Lab is to provide a kind of hardware hands-on sandbox experimentation space for team members to go to during their day and step away from the code development and into, hey, I can play with a 3D printer, or I have a drone on the table, let me tinker with this drone. And we have all of the tools they need, to get hands-on with actual tangible hardware work, because we know engineers love to build. And so when you're building on a laptop all day, that's exciting, but maybe you want to take a break and go build something with your hands. And that's what we have there. So every employee has access to 3D printers. We have little robots, little drones around, and it needs a bit more love, a bit more investment, because it is a big, big part of our DNA and our culture. And I think as we continue to grow and new people come in, they don't love the FICA Lab the same way as the old people who have been around for a while and who have the experience love it. But that is something that it's very, very cool to Critical, and something we need to keep growing and make sure we keep that intact.
And that helps to collaborate. We were talking about collaboration externally, but internally is also very important for all the units to collaborate and be more aligned.
It's amazing. Even we have the FICA Lab and then other areas too. And at lunch, you will see like 15 to 20 team members all gathered around a 1,000-piece puzzle, just building a puzzle in the middle of the work. It's awesome. It's really, really nice to see. And they're motivated, inspired to work on a puzzle because they love to build. Like that's what it comes down to.
That's wonderful.
I think that's very human as well. Collaboration plus a problem, a challenge that you have, and you collaborate to solve it. That's the most human thing that exists, in my opinion. We're a collaborative species, and our intelligence is built to solve problems. So those two, love that story. And to that point, and I think you were touching it a little bit. So in the FICA Lab, for instance, or in other initiatives in innovation, it's easy for all of us, even our viewers, probably to think about this as, okay, these are engineers solving problems. Innovation is all about tech, but bringing in in a multicultural environment, bringing in people that are technical plus non-technical to do innovation, I think there's a secret sauce there as well, right? So how you guys are organize and build, collaborate, foster this collaboration across technical and non-technical?
Yeah, so we try to bring the teams together who are experiencing the problems in different ways and get them in the same room and working together. So to your point, you can be solutioning inside the box where you're just kind of doing incremental innovation and you're really focused on the solution and how can you improve that. You could be outside of the box thinking where you're doing a moonshot or you're trying to come up with something completely novel. A lot of time that requires the business side.
Right.
So for us, it's about getting the engineers in the room with the business development managers and directors, and combining them and working together to say, okay, the business development people understand the pains, the problems, the challenges that the business people have. The technical team members understand what's feasible, what's possible, what we can do. So we can use these two lenses to really get to a clear picture on desirability of the customer. Is there somebody who will really pay for it? Feasibility of the innovation. Is this something that can technically, logically, physically even be done? And then our innovation team really helps with the viability side, which is, are all of the costs that are going into this and investment going into this going to be outweighed by all of the benefits and gains that we will get from this? And if we have clear and solid answers on those three buckets, desirability, feasibility, and viability, that's how we can really make sure that we're moving in the right direction. And that requires this combination.
That's a great way to seeing it, because that's specific to each technical and non-technical. Everybody has a strong contribution to do to the project. I love that. It's a great way to see it.
And in that sense, how do you keep on feeding the curiosity and the agility? So because they need to be agile between themselves, right? And keep looking after the next idea or after the next problem solving. So how do you feed that?
Yeah,
I know it's a difficult question.
It's a very difficult question, and there's a lot of work and research that goes behind that we need to do more around and we need to explore more. But so you can do things like a Google Ventures design sprint, where you take 5 days and you follow a process from ideation all the way through customer testing and you build a prototype in the middle. So you can try to find little games like Crazy 8 and all of these things. But to me, ideation, the best way to do it is to get people in a room and just have conversations and get a whiteboard and start just thinking and talking. And things will come organically if you have the right mindset and the right people in the room. Things will often come. And I find that to be happening often. Most of my ideas within the innovation space come from somebody just coming up to me on the side and like sitting on the desk, like physically sitting on my desk, explaining to me, hey, we're working on this thing for the Navy and it's got this buckets and this complicated thing and we have all of these new assets and we need to find a way to tie these things together. What can we do? And just that conversation then leads to, okay, well, we need to come up with an asset around interoperability and total domain control and making sure that we can connect all of the assets from all of these different companies in space, in the air, on the water, under the water. And these organic conversations then lead to an R&D proposal that then leads to funding, that leads to an innovation. Wow. And that's how it has to happen. I think it has to be organic. You can have all the methodologies, all the frameworks to try to assist the thinking, but it has to start with getting the right people in the room, getting them talking and getting them inspired and thinking about the problems in the right way.
Yeah.
I think sometimes we force innovation to happen and we forget that the best innovation are the natural ones that come with exactly what you said, like people coming together with the right ideas and the right mindset, and they will organically, like you said, create that innovation. And it can be incremental or disruptive, but it will be natural. So I think sometimes we forget about that. Exactly. It's a great point. Shifting gears on and back to tech a little bit, maybe. So, what are the exciting things? Because everybody, I think, for our listeners, they think about Critical as a very deep tech company. So, what are the exciting new innovations that you guys doing in tech that you could share?
Yeah, so some that come to mind, I mentioned earlier, quantum encryption, I think is a very, very interesting space for us because it points to this big picture innovation, quantum computing. Yeah. But then what are all of the potential challenges and problems that are going to come out of quantum computing? And that's where we find the windows of opportunity. So
encryption, as we know it, it's going to disappear, right?
You're gonna
or change.
It's going to change. Yes. You're going to have hybrid models because now you have to be able to handle these traditional attacks, but also a potential quantum attack. So that's a huge area of interest for me. Another is digital twins and allowing us to simulate technologies at a super, super advanced level. Specifically in the medical space, I love to see the innovation happening there with clinical trials and finding ways to accelerate therapeutic discovery. That's super interesting to me. AI at the edge is something also that we as critical are constantly trying to do, especially in these safety critical domains. How can you incorporate artificial intelligence into these very, very deep tech, very safety critical systems that if something goes wrong with the system, people can die. That's critical software. That's where we work.
Right.
And so we have to incorporate artificial intelligence into this. So AI at the edge in a dependable, trustworthy, safe way, another huge topic for us. And let's see, what else are we working on? I don't want to just share my whole pipeline, but
right. No, it's fair. It's fair. And picking on that, maybe how do you see AI transforming your business? Because you were saying you're seeing AI at the edge as being critical, and systems that normally are critical, as in, like you said, lives are at stake, or big chunks of money are at stake, sending stuff to space and all of that is you get one shot. But AI is non-deterministic. It's a probabilistic system. So do you see that as changing the way that you guys are doing business? Is it transformative on your area, or
very much so? Yes, definitely. So at Critical, we actually combine our artificial intelligence and innovation teams into one group. So we have our AI squared, AI times innovation group that works across all of these, because we understand so many of our innovation projects are going to have AI involved one way or the other, and vice versa. So that's very important for us to kind of tie those things together as we lace artificial intelligence into not just the systems that we're building for our customers, but also our internal software development lifecycle processes. We try to follow a very, very strict set of governance principles and protocols to help us make sure we're doing the right thing. So we actually have a publicly available GitHub space that people can go check out that has all of our safety critical AI principles and values on it. We like to start with human first, human led, keep the human in the loop as much as possible, making sure that everything's going through at least human eyes for now. We like to make sure, again, as much as possible, that it is deterministic. At the very least, it must be explainable. We have to know why it came to the decision that it came to. And every system that we're dealing with, we can't work with probabilistic models the same way that other companies can, of course. Yep. So we try to follow these principles. It's changing and transforming things at a pace that I think nobody expected. So we're also grappling with that. But I'm actually seeing a market shift that's very interesting, which is historically companies came to critical software for software engineering, purely software engineering skills and work. Now they're actually coming to us with the idea of, can you help us form our AI strategy? Because they know that we as Critical have tangible hands-on experience building AI systems in these very, very complicated contexts. And so they're actually looking for our help to build their strategy around AI. How do they approach it? How do they think about it? Which tools should they be using? How can they work it into their SDLC processes? So
because it's becoming immersive, right? In everything. So
it's transient. It's almost laced everywhere, of course.
Yes.
So
that's very interesting, especially the fact that you guys have a different approach to AI, like you were saying. Maybe for most business, the adoption can come. We didn't talk about how the teams adopt, and that's, I think, global. That's you touched the point that I think is, where does my business transform? And you guys are seeing it in a way that's very unique, and I love that.
Yeah. Very interesting.
Yeah, and it's shaping our business, right?
Yeah,
I mean, it's shaping the roles that we're hiring for, the way that we're thinking about it, the way we're approaching the market, because it's a step in a different direction that we want to couple our core business, and we always will be a software engineering services first company. But if we can pair that with thought leadership and strategy and direction, we can really help companies not just determine where they're going, but then we can also help them get there. I think that's super valuable.
What about sustainability? Is that energy, space? I know you are investing a lot on those. Which projects or partnerships would you like to mention? Related to these areas?
We have, around the sustainability side itself, we have an impact team that really drives a lot of that work, and they make a lot of investments in the community here. So I think one that I would highlight is our partnership with TUMO. So awesome school, awesome program, and our chairman, Gonçalo Quadros.
Yeah. And you're very close, right? There at Coimbra as well.
Exactly.
So
started in Coimbra through Gonçalo and through, I think, Paulo Marques from Fidzai. The two of them and some others collaborated to bring the school here, and we invest a lot in that program, and we work with the students there, and it's an awesome, awesome program to see. So we try to do stuff like that from the sustainability perspective. Something I'm trying to shape for next year actually is hackathons that combine impact and innovation.
Okay.
I would love to see some kind of hackathon with the public universities here around wildfires, as an example. What can we do
nice.
to incorporate these amazing technological advancements that we're seeing in defense? But how can we incorporate those dual use into wildfires? I mean, we have billions of dollars of damage done every year. So we should fix it, right? So
Sure.
so that's the way that we're thinking about it. And the other buckets, you mentioned energy, more of a services space, but we do some work there. And then space, we are doing a ton of work with space. So we have a partnership with Turian and invested in this company, Turian Space. We have our internal asset, which is also kind of a product called Carvel, which is like a control system for space maneuvers. And actually that will hopefully be up in space before the end of this year.
Nice.
So keep your eyes out for that. But yeah,
Great.
so we make some investments there and we try to work through there, but there's always more to be done there, I think, especially in the community side, because sustainability is one bucket, but even bigger than that to me is community and talent, and making sure that the youth are engaging in very, very cool stuff like this, especially here in Portugal. I think it's nice for them to see and have pride in the work that's being done here.
And double clicking on that, the partnerships, and we talked about partnerships in different parts of this conversation, and it's critical partnerships for you to both grow. We talk about scale. We just talked about universities, in this case with Tomo and students. So how do you see in terms of innovation? Because it's hard. It's easy in terms of business saying, okay, you have something, you're in the market, I'm gonna help you help me position my product in this new market. But in innovation, what do you think about partnerships and how you integrate that? So we talk about universities, maybe research. Can you double click on that a little bit?
Yeah, definitely. So we have research initiatives. So we as critical sponsor masters and PhD students around Portugal who can help us make advancements on these very, very deep tech related research topics. Mostly there we're invested in space research because that is, again, super deep tech, super complex stuff. And then, of course, safety critical and embedded systems. That's the foundational core and DNA of the company. So we invest in a lot of masters and PhD students to help progress those forward with intention. And then to a partnership perspective, we also, a lot of our R&Ds are in partnership with customers. So we don't reveal who the partner is or, why we're working with them on it, because there's obviously some confidentiality there, but we require real world data to make meaningful R&D impact. And a lot of times to get that real world data, you need a partner. So you need a train manufacturer who's collecting real-time data in the context of a train system and knows how to manage that data and what it looks like. And then we can build a machine learning model on top of that to help them, predict intelligently what events are going to happen for maintenance that they might need to do. So we would work with the manufacturer to build something like that. So that, I would say more than half of our R&D investments are actually involving a corporate international, usually partner.
Love it.
Very good. Can I ask you? You recently hosted the Space Defense Tech Meetup. What's the purpose of these cross-industry events, and what do you feel that are the most important results coming out of it?
Yeah, so I think the benefit of cross-industry public events like this is getting people to cross-pollinate ideas in a very unique and organic way. just by getting them in the same room talking about the same topic. So some people don't even think that space defense is like a concept or a thing.
Yeah.
It sounds like Star Wars, right? It's very foreign, but it's a real thing. I mean, there is a lot of energy around how can we make sure that the satellite systems that we have in space are able to stay there and can't be messed with, or
Right.
because if we lose a satellite system, you could lose GPS, you could lose a lot of things, right? So combining the defense sector with the space sector in a public and forward-facing way allows for these conversations to organically happen. And also, in this case, for us, because we hosted at the Technical Innovation Center, allowed for young talent to also get in the room and see, hey, these companies are working together. We had Christer Fuglesang, an astronaut from Sweden, come and talk on the panel. So it was very, very nice to get these people in the same room and talking, and I think the students get inspired, and hopefully that leads to a next wave of innovation.
That's interesting, because it becomes more tangible and real than just out of space, right?
Yeah, very much. And I think transparency is really, really important
Like,
here.
it's not a dream. I can work in this industry. I can contribute to it.
I can build an X-Wing maybe in 10, 20 years for, so.
Well,
cool.
but that again goes to your previous point that I love is it's innovation comes from collaboration, from people getting together, and sometimes you use the expression think outside the box, or solving the problem outside of the box. Sometimes you're in space and you're solving a problem inside the box. Sometimes you're in defense and solving it inside the box, and there's a cross box here that is bigger and where the solution may
Very
lie.
much
Right?
so. We see it organically within Critical. Like I mentioned this quantum encryption model now a few times, but that model, we built it for a utilities customer. We can then go and build that same model for defense customers, for space customers, for bank customers. And that is cross-pollination that happens through companies like Critical Software.
Right.
So it's great that we can do this publicly and be transparent about it and show the world, look how we can tie these things together. Let's do it together.
I think we need more stories like that, because sometimes I think the innovators tend to be a little bit closed down inside their own teams, and you guys have a different story that I'm really, really happy that we're sharing exactly that. And to the point where you also think you said one of your pillars is the venture capitalist type, where you think yourself in your team as investors in projects, and TechWorks is how does that fit into the global strategy of the company? Is it something that is on the side, or is the company really putting that in the first row as priority and strategy?
Our R&D innovation process.
Yes.
So
and the investment itself. So you guys do spin-offs, like you're saying, from some of the projects that if I would be working there, maybe I had an idea and you spin off that into a full-on thing. So how is that part of the strategy? Something that happened and it's collaborative, or is part of the main strategy?
No, it's part of our main strategy. So within this investment thesis, we have 3 stages. So we have kind of investigation or discovery. So those are smaller investments, very, very quick turnaround. Get a Tiger team working on a cutting edge idea and have them learn about it in depth so we can know where do we play in that space. Then we have like an execution stage, which is maybe 2 to 6 months long project, a little bit of a bigger team. The goal there is to build a prototype, to build an MVP, to have something that we can demonstrate to customers. To show, and test and test with customers. It's important. And then our third stage is incubation, which gets to this point, which is anytime we have an idea that's made it through those first stages, that shows promise that it can be a business, or that is something that is just outside of our wheelhouse. So maybe somebody has a great product idea for an industry we don't serve. Then we can push it through this incubation stage, and it can get this big investment that it needs to really, really grow. So we have the ability to do that not just through Critical Software, but we have this bigger ecosystem that you were alluding to before with Critical Ventures. So we have an actual venture capital company that invests in real companies around the globe within the ecosystem of Critical. We have Critical TechWorks, which is the joint venture with BMW. So there are actually, I think, 4,000 or 5,000 employees there now. So that has outpaced and outscaled Critical Software. But they're part of our ecosystem, and they can also help us advance things forward. we have the Airbus joint venture now going to form a very similar thing, and more of those will keep coming. So spin-offs and joint ventures are the way that we rapidly scale our ideas and innovations.
Love it, love it.
So, Marc, you with all your experience and your international experience as well, because you have been abroad as well. You're in Portugal. You are in this incredible company. What would be your advice to younger generations, to younger engineers or non-engineers that would look at Critical as, the future company to work for?
Yeah, I would say lean into the skills that you have that make you different. So I think that's something that a lot of people like to just try to blend into the status quo and not realize that, hey, I might have a skill set that makes me unique, and I want to really channel into what is it that I have that's different, and that's going to become my expertise, my domain, and the rest of it I'll leave to the others. So I come with a very business background, business-minded, ROI focus. Why are we doing the things? And I like to say that that meshes very well, and sometimes contrasts with this engineering mindset who wants to build, who wants to just more do cool things, right? And solution, and their focus is on just actually building something. They don't want to waste time thinking about why am I doing it, right? So leaning into the skills that you have that make you different, I think is very, very unique and valuable. Second, I think always goes to this scrappiness that I talked to earlier. So just show me that you can be proactive, that you're willing to do what it takes to move the right things forward. And then I think third would be resilience. So fighting through failures, of course, is always important. Being able to recognize that you're not going to be the star of the show all the time, and sometimes we need to be resilient and keep fighting.
No, that message is so important. It's one message that we try to.
That's the only way to learn, right? And to grow is to persist.
To pass along.
We also like that mentality, right? There are no failures. I mean, there's lessons. So stop sulking in the failures and let's move on and let's keep fighting. So that resilience is really important, and of course the human-centered, the empathy. Right. That's table stakes baseline.
Love it. Great message. And I think, and I would personally love this. I think our viewers will also love it. You are immersed into so much innovation, so much tech. How do you personally get up to date with all of these trends? And it is hard, I know, and I would love to hear your insights on that.
So I try to stick with more the Gen Z millennial vibe, which leads me to a lot of YouTube videos and articles and reading. So I'm always watching videos, listening to podcasts, learning. So I historically loved The Diary of a CEO and Modern Wisdom. I think they've become a little bit more doomsday prepping content, but they used to be, and they still can be, a great way to hear from some of the leaders that are on these cutting edge. And I like to hear directly from them. But I also like to round out I don't like to just focus on the technology. I love to study history. I love to study geopolitics. I love to study psychology. So those three buckets, for me, are always kind of allowing me to see, okay, what is not just the technical innovation, but what are the human sides that are coming out, and how are these interplaying and working together? And what does this mean in the bigger context? And where are the opportunities? So as all of the funds shift into defense, what's happening to emergency response? There's maybe opportunities there. So I like to just try to keep the balance and see as many different windows and angles as possible.
Wonderful.
And to our viewers, your point is amazing. Is thinking outside the box, even when you're learning. You could go maybe, and I'm an engineer. I spend a lot of time looking into tech, but if I only look into that and I forget about the business, forget about the psychology. I read a lot about psychology as well, and to our viewers, this message is, I think, it's golden. It's okay. Don't stick to only what's your core part, because you're gonna miss out on the rest, and you're gonna narrow that you will not be able to innovate as good as you would the rest. So I love that statement. Really, really good. Go for it.
I think we could finish it up. I don't know.
Yes. But like I said, continuing on that, and as a closure, what do you see in the future? What's your future outlook going forward? Not talking about, we talked about some emerging tech that's very critical, but what really is substantially changed for critical in the upcoming years?
The future.
Yeah. What's your future outlook on that?
For critical, I would love to see us being more publicly open and transparent about the work that we're doing and the partners that we have, because I think there's been an incredible history at Critical that hasn't shown itself to the world the way that it could. So I would love to see more of that, just to build on this cooperation, to be more open. So I see that happening. I see us being continuing to go down this path of innovating very, very deep tech. And preferably, I think we're going to take global leadership on this level. I see that happening as especially here in Europe. So I think there's companies and people are looking towards again, companies that have real tangible hands-on experience working with these technologies. And the more Critical does in this space, the more I think we can be a thought leader and somebody who helps develop strategy for companies. So I think that's the way I see Critical shifting. And I see us playing a major role in also shifting Portugal and taking Portugal up to a higher level, because I think, again, there's such an incredible history here. There's an incredible culture here. There's incredible people here. And I think the world would really benefit from Portugal taking a stronger stance and taking more leadership in specific areas. And I think Critical can be a vehicle to do that. But I see that being huge potential for us, especially with the talent we have here and the energy with the youth. So I hope the system and the structure can position itself well so that all can flourish the way that it has the potential to do.
That's a wonderful message to finish up, because we talk a lot about this geo balance between Asia and the US and Europe. It's such a nice way of ending, because you're grounding the innovation in Europe and in this possibility of Portugal to be part of it, and making Europe a little bit more relevant in what it comes to innovation.
And it should be.
It's the moment. It's the moment to do it.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's never been a better moment, I think, to try to capitalize on some of the geopolitical shifts that are happening, and use that moment to not shift your reliance from one country to a different country, but instead build your own independence as Portugal, as Europe. And I think there's energy to do that. There's momentum to do that. But I think Critical can really play a role in helping us.
Oh, that's great. Thanks, Marc.
Yeah,
thank you. And that wraps up this episode of the Innovation Office. Today, we explored innovation in a mission-critical software and systems engineering company, key for the development of industries such as aerospace, defense, transportation, energy, and many others.
Thank you, Marc, for everything you shared. I'm surely incredibly inspired, and surely everybody else who's watching us today is as well. A special thanks to Mel for having us in this great studio, for this partnership with us in this initiative, and to our amazing media partner, Sapo, of course, and to all of the innovators that tuned in to support us.
You know the drill. This door will open again in 2 weeks for the next episode, and we're counting on you to join us. Until then, keep building the future and creating epic stories of innovation so we can share them in this web show. See you soon.
See you soon, guys.